For this second one, it's basically the same process. I'll grab the second texture set and let's bake. Same thing, I have the same map, I just have to press the bake button and it'll bake all my textures for that texture set. And after I bake, all I need to do is start assigning materials back again. Now that my bake is done, I'll start looking and I can see there's an error on this mesh, and that mesh, the only way to fix it is to fix the face. Even if I increase the look radius for the detail, it doesn't get fixed. So the only way to fix that is if I go back into Maya and I fix the face. And that's exactly what I did here. So it's always good practice after you bake, you take a look of every mesh to see if you have any errors and see how you can fix them. This one, the problem is coming because we have a front face and a back face and they're colliding with each other because the detail is on the front, not in the back. So all you want to come and do is grab that mesh, the high poly, if you have a high poly, which in my case I do, and I grab the mesh and I'll just delete the back faces of it. See, I can clearly see there's two faces. So all I'm gonna do here is just grab the one in the back and get rid of it. We export everything back again. Now that it's done, see, I'll just re-export the whole thing back again. Go back into Substance, press Edit, Project Configuration, and the first option to re-import the mesh, and just press OK. And it'll just re-import all your meshes back again, or refresh your meshes. And now all I want to do is grab the mesh and bake back again. And this is a common practice. And now I'll just zoom in, and now I have a clean bake. Now my map looks fine. Now I'm ready to start applying the materials. And for this one, pretty simple. Just for the chimney, I want the same material as my walls, the brick walls. I'll just select the material, drag it in, and play with the parameters. I'll increase the amount of bricks, remove the moss and the vegetation, and then increase the scale. Now all I have to do is change the color to match the reference image. So this chimney, it was kind of whitish gray. So that's exactly what I'm trying to pick. Some colors that match mostly the reference image. And the reference image is mostly for a guide. You can actually modify the colors or the look of the reference image, because reference images are mostly to guide you on the final product. Now that that's done, I'll group it. And mask whatever I don't need. And this, I'm gonna be doing this for every single mesh that I use. Now that that one is done, see here, I decided to just apply a black mask to it. Now I'm gonna be working on the door. I'll grab another material that I got from Substance Source. And it's basically wood planks, and I'll just modify it. Same procedure as always. Group it, apply a black mask, or select the mask square and select your mesh, or select the UVs or the faces, and modify the properties. So texturing is same procedure. Cut that. Texturing is just same procedure. Masking, modifying the properties, and further along the video, I use paint brushes to do some extra detail, hand painted. Because you can get away of just applying procedural materials, but it gets really repetitive. And for you to break your material and that it looks believable, all you want to do is hand paint some of the details on your mesh. That way you have more variety on your texture. So this door looks pretty well to me. And now I'll apply another wood material to the arc. So I'll select another material. And now, since I have the group masking, I need to include the frame, and then in the actual material itself, I black mask both, and I assign one to the door and one to the frame. Think about it as if you have a group, you're masking the group to include all those assets, and then under that group, under that folder, you have two different materials, and you mask one and the other so that they point to different meshes. Now, since this is the stone arc, what I did here was I assigned the same stone material as the wall and modified it a little bit. So here I'm just modifying the properties. You can see I added a black mask so that that material is only assigned to that arc. Remove the moss and play with the parameters. Just looking for a right balance. And something that blends in. I'm here experimenting to see what looks best on these bricks. And the way that I would have done these bricks were by adding the detail itself on the bake. So I would have just sculpted these bricks, add them, and bake them. That way I just have to apply a concrete material on top of it and I'm done. But there's many ways of doing detail on a texture. You can also grab a texture online and project it and hand paint it as well. You can do many things. Now I'm just searching for materials. Searching for a wood material. And since most of the things are gonna be a wood material now, what I did was I started playing around with all different kinds of wood materials to get the look that I needed. And just playing with the rotation if I needed to. So I assigned it to both. And then I started thinking about which others needed the material as well. I double checked that the orientations are the same, because if not, I'll just duplicate the material, apply the mask, and rotate the material. And now here's where I started thinking about adding some more detail to my texture. So I went in and just started looking for something that that could break up my texture. And since that post is gonna be on the dirt, I thought, let me get like a bark type of material. And apply it to the surface. So I went into substance source, downloaded the material. And now here's how I break up the material itself and break up the pattern. I'll look for that material where it downloaded. Sometimes it takes a bit to load. And you just have to find the correct name. Now I apply it, add a black mask. And now I'll grab a brush, reduce the size of the brush. And you can reduce the size here with the brackets. open bracket and close brackets, and then I'll start painting. I'll grab an alpha from the grunge or from the alpha itself that looks like a grunge map or a dirt map. I'll look something like for a pattern. So I selected this and started painting. Now you see that every time I click, it's indented in. So I'm thinking where I can find the value so that I can rotate that moss and that detail. Instead of going into the mesh, it goes out of the mesh. So here I'm just applying, painting manually. And here you can also apply blending modes and decrease the amount of opacity on the material itself. Or you can start blending using blending modes just like in Photoshop. And if you click on it once, you can scroll with your mouse wheel, or you can use the down and up arrow. So now I select the material and I'm looking for the height value. I'm seeing if the properties itself has height value, and I see what the height is actually doing. Then in technical parameters, here is where you can modify some of the height value on your mesh, on your material, sorry. And here's where you see that detail that I painted came out of the mesh, and that's exactly what I wanted. So now all I want to do is keep adding this detail on the other meshes as well. And then what I'll do is I'll modify a little bit the color, because I want it to look like it's dirty, like that post grabbed a little bit of mud and then moss started accumulating on top of it. So it's just going for a specific look. So here's where your creative side can come in. This is not in the reference image, but I thought it was a nice detail. And now I'm gonna do the 2 support beams in the front. Do the same thing. And the reason you see me painting so easily is because I'm using a tablet. You could do this with a mouse as well, but I find it easier. I'm already used to my pen tablet. And any tablet works fine. So here I'm just experimenting and seeing what looks good. Now I'm looking for another alpha so that I can mix some other effects on top of that. Seeing what pattern this alpha gives me and seeing if I can mix and match. And I'm experimenting with the brush angle and see if I actually like that alpha. I'm here looking for brushes, and these brushes come with substance and you can use them, and these already have presets on them. So I just grabbed one and started painting away. Grabbed another brush, started adding detail to the next support beam. And here I'm just picking and applying. And you can get as detailed as you want with this. But you can last hours just applying materials. So now for the arc, I know that this arc has the same material as the walls. So I went back into the previous texture set, copy the wall material, and then came to the set that I'm working on and paste it. And now you see that everything is assigned and all I have to do is mask it. And I'll select the faces, done. And then for the arc in the back, I'll just apply the same wood material. I check the reference image just to see and apply the texture. And we're done texturing these parts. Now, the only thing we need is export.